I'd like to do one subconscious reprogramming, which would be emotional freedom technique, EFT, called tapping. And for those of you who've not done it before, it's all the rage right now, but it really is a very ancient practice. It uses the acupressure points or the meridian points, and all that is, nothing airy-fairy, it's the central nervous system. And your central nervous system goes from the base of your brain, your spinal column, all the way down to your tailbone. And it is, the nerves are all encased in the spinal fluid and in the dura mater, the casing over it. And so it carries messages from your brain throughout your body. So the original, what I call ocean of energy, where those nerves are in your spinal column, are sending messages all the time, just like telephone messages or telegraph messages, electrical messages. Send this chemical out, guard this muscle, use fight or flight, whatever the message is, the brain is commanding the body through this central nervous system. And then it branches out into something that we'll probably deal with sooner or later called the chakras. It's like the rivers coming out of the ocean, energy centers. And then out of rivers come streams, right? Those are the meridian points. So it's the final branching of the central nervous system or your messaging system. So when you're using tapping, when they're using acupuncture, you'll find that they go to the meridian point, and it's like an electrical impulse. Remember Jacob's ladder when you were in high school and you saw that arc of energy? Fine. That's the energy. And if you took a piece of metal like a needle and stuck it in there, you're going to break up that patterning or that messaging. So in this case, what we're doing is tapping on the meridian point rather than using a needle. And the tapping excites the electron and allows it to jump orbit, changing or getting rid of what the message is that's there. It's that simple and it's that scientific about what's going on with tapping. So I'm going to do a tapping session with you, and all you have to do is just follow me. Tap the same points that I tap, and say it out loud, because that, for whatever reason, seems to be maybe you're hearing yourself. So I want you to follow me, speak out loud, and we're going to tap on the points. And I'm going to do a traditional tapping, and then I'm going to do a little thing that's lots of fun where I'm going to be your inner critic voice and try to change your inner critic voice. Now, when you're doing it at home, you may or may not do that, but we're going to do that. So we're going to start with, since we're talking about self-love tonight, we're going to start with, if you think about one instance, one way in which you don't love yourself. So let's just say weight. Say I'm overweight or I'm underweight, whatever, and I don't love that. What is the feeling that brings up in you? You know, it could bring up anger, which usually means I haven't set boundaries for myself, or I haven't set boundaries for other people. It can be frustration, which is I keep doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results over and over again. It can be guilt. You know what that is. It can be disappointment, which feels a little bit like sadness, or it could be sadness. So again, just take a second. See what you bring up. One way in which you don't love yourself. I'm not making enough money. I'm not in shape. I don't have the relationship I want. And then think, how does that make you feel? So I'm going to pick frustration for me. I'm going to be using frustration because I'm good at frustration. I'm mine. Now, I want you to think, where in your body, notice where in your body do you feel that frustration? Or whatever it is you're feeling. I feel in my abdomen the frustration, but you could feel what you're feeling in your heart, in your head, anywhere. And then notice what it feels like. So for me, in my abdomen, I feel frustration, and it feels like a little bit of a nagging, an aching, a nag in there. And then 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst, in my case, aching, what is the number you get? So, you know, I get like a 6. My frustration is felt in my abdomen as like an aching or a nagging, and it feels like it's about a 6. So you got your number, right? Now here we go. Now whenever I'm tapping and I say frustration, I want you to put in the feeling that you have. So if it's anger, put that in, or guilt, or whatever. So here we go. Even though, this is the karate chop point, even though I don't love myself, especially where weight is concerned, or whatever. I totally love and accept myself. Even though I have never been able to love myself, I have judged myself, I have been critical of myself, I totally love and accept myself. Even though I have been critical of others who are critical of me, when I have not loved myself, I totally forgive and love myself. This feeling of frustration, 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 this feeling of frustration at not being able to love myself unconditionally, this feeling of frustration at not being able to love myself unconditionally, this feeling of frustration at not being able to love myself unconditionally. Take a deep breath. Now go immediately to that place that you felt. Remember, I felt the abdomen, I felt the frustration, I was at a 6. What's it at now? Mine's at like a 3. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, depending on the issues. And you can repeat that even more times. Now I'm going to use a little bit of the inner critic release format. Even though I have been totally frustrated that I seem to gain weight over and over again, no matter what I do, and I don't love myself unconditionally when I'm overweight, I totally forgive and love myself. Even though in the past I've done numerous things to my body, not loving it unconditionally, in order to approve of myself with weight, I totally forgive and love myself. Even though I would like to blame the public, my husband, anyone else for how I feel, how frustrated I can feel about my weight, I totally forgive and love myself for not loving myself unconditionally. This feeling of frustration about not loving myself unconditionally if I'm overweight. This feeling about not loving myself unconditionally if I'm overweight. This feeling about not loving myself unconditionally just because I'm a little overweight. This feeling of not loving myself, not loving my body unconditionally because I'm a little bit overweight. This feeling of not loving myself, my body, not appreciating it, not loving unconditionally, only if it's the right weight. This feeling of frustration that I can't just love myself and love my body unconditionally. This feeling of frustration that I can't just love myself and love my body unconditionally. What if I could let go of that? What if I could quit trying to control my body and I just loved it unconditionally the way it was? You know, what you resist persists. Maybe this is the way to go. I could just give up and release the idea of not loving myself unconditionally. I could love myself unconditionally. That sounds like a pretty good thing. Maybe I'll do this. Are you crazy? Do you know what will happen if you start just letting go? You're going to get fatter and fatter and fatter. That's in place to keep you safe. Are you nuts? You can't just let go. That's the airy-fairy thing. Loving your body unconditionally? No. You know how you like those cute clothes. What's wrong with you? You know what? I would like it better. It would be more helpful to me because I know you're trying to keep me safe and you're trying to love me. But little voice, it would help me a lot more if you would say, you're beautiful. I love you. No matter what you do, no matter who you are, no matter what, I just love you. I believe in you. Just let go and love yourself, and I'll love you, and everything will be fine. Can you do that for me, voice? Can you say those things to me? Can you tell me that you love me unconditionally? Can you tell me it'll all be okay? That you believe in me? And now take a deep breath. I'm at a 0. Don't know where you are, but I hope it's somewhere down towards the bottom. And I hope you enjoyed the tapping session.